Hello and welcome to LTC Heroes Live. We are at HIMSS22 in Orlando, Florida. I think we're on day 3. Today, I'm honored to be joined by the president of PointClickCare, Julieann Esper Rainville. Julieann, welcome to the program.
Thanks very much.
So, Julieann, I like to start off with a little bit of, we're coming out of a pandemic. Who have you been most excited to talk to? We can finally give some hugs to people. Who's the first person that you searched for on HIMSS to give them a big hug?
It was actually someone who used to work for me, who's still part of PointClickCare. His name's Chris Beekman. So I was super excited to see him, and I gave him a nice big hug when I did.
So I'm pretty certain this isn't your first HIMSS. What brought you to HIMSS this year? What were the notes that you were writing on the plane down here? These are the things I need to accomplish, the conversations I need to have, what I need to learn.
Yeah. I mean, what I was really excited about was, one, just generally reconnecting with our partners, but more specifically, we're really taking our acute and payer care collaboration platform to the next level. So meeting with health plans and also some providers was top of my list.
In terms of educational sessions, have you gone to any panels that have stood out, any insights, or the executive summit, any quotes that you're like, whoa, that's really good. I need to find a way to explain this to my team. We're learning from a larger platform, a tech platform. Let's take this down to our company.
I wish that I have had time to go to some of the panels that have been held, but we've actually been in meetings with our partners pretty much the entire time. But I will share with you something that one of our health plan customers said. That's okay.
Yeah, please.
That really stuck with me. And it was really important. We were meeting with a very large health plan, and they said, you really need to meet us where we are. And what they meant by that was, when we think about our platform, they have a way of working. And as a technology provider, we have to meet them where they are from a technology standpoint instead of giving them additional things to do. And that really held with me on the way that we think about developing our technology.
The next question I'm going to ask you is specifically related to that. That's a perfect segue, which is, we walk around the floor. I feel like 95% of people are primarily in acute. 5% maybe have a pinky toe, a little toe in post-acute. What are you learning from our acute partners?
Yeah, so what I would say is, just given all of the funding that has sort of gone into the acute world around technology, they've been able to sort of progress more quickly than the post-acute sector. So it's really watching sort of the industry trends and then how they react. So I'll give value-based care as an example, right? So in value-based care, it's really important to be able to manage your network really well, which means you need to have good interoperability and good insights. And so the acute sector has really been leading that interoperability discussion. And we're really taking our post-acute partners really into that journey and trying to help them with that cross-continuum connectivity through what we provide.
I interviewed, you're probably familiar with Direct Trust. I interviewed Scott Stewie on the podcast about a year ago, and he said over and over, in many different ways, and I've heard it from others, we're a long ways behind in interoperability on the post-acute side. Do you have any optimism? Do you see that we maybe not catching up is not the right verb? Are we on the right path? Are we taking the initiatives?
Definitely on the right path. I mean, I don't know how much you know about our journey as a company, but a big part of why we have gotten into the care collaboration space is because of this, that we serve, just so you know, as the clinical and operational backbone for senior care. So we are their EHR, but we also do a lot of financial and operational applications as well. But what we realized is we weren't helping them as much with this interoperability, with the cross continuum. So we weren't able to really serve the senior population the way we wanted to, because they get care from a care team that's across diverse settings, right? So that's why we got into care collaboration. So a big part of our mission is to actually bring, we have 70% market share in our market, is to really bring them on that journey. And we've made great strides in doing so. I talk to executives a lot in long-term care, and the first thing that they say that they have problems with is staffing, and the second one is interoperability. Do you hear the same thing from your clients regarding staffing? Do you have any optimism? Is there anything that you all are doing to help with this? Oh gosh, we are, but I wish we could do more. So staffing, to be honest, right now, and sounds like you already know this is any of our customers on that side of the business will tell you it's the number 1, number 2, and number 3 problem, right? They're facing tons of staffing shortages. I think something like 80% of all skilled nursing facilities have staffing shortages. Turnover rates are 120, 140%. Agency costs are way up. So, I mean, it's a humongous issue. So what we do, right, the way that I would love to be doing more, but what we do is we try to simplify the jobs for their key employees as much as we can, right? So if we, through a technology standpoint, can make their jobs so much more easier, then they're able to leverage them to actually give clinical care and focus on the things that are important within the facility. So that's really the approach that we're taking. And so if you think about the last 100 years and the progress of technology, the whole point was to be able to take the weight off of people, right? And that's exactly what we're trying to do in skilled nursing.
You alluded to that you all are you guys are growing, and part of that growth is you are pulling in different aspects of care that'll help you learn from acute. Can you talk to me about those growing pains? You guys have acquired a number of companies in the last year and a half, and you've been at PointClickCare that long, and also opportunities. So what's been hard for you all, but also what's exciting in terms of opportunities?
Yeah, I'm going to start with the exciting part. So what's exciting is really the path that we've been on from an acquisition standpoint is what we're talking about right here, right now, which is really about how do we create cross-continuum collaboration in the healthcare ecosystem. So connecting acute, ambulatory, behavioral health, and our post-acute sector, right? So that is our mission, is to make that happen. Okay. So that's what's really exciting about what we're working on. Just today, actually, we closed our acquisition of Audacious Inquiry, which basically doubles the size of our care collaboration network in North America. So we're very excited about that. From a challenges standpoint, you're right. We actually, PointClickCare is an amazing company. We're rapidly growing. Really client oriented. And I think that's why we've been successful. But there are challenges, right? As we continue to grow, we have to scale our own systems. We have to scale our own processes to maintain that efficiency in the business. So that's really where, from an internal standpoint, we're focused in making sure that we're able to continue to provide the level of service that we want by having the right systems and processes internally.
I'm going to have a follow-up question, which is a little bit more personal. When you're dealing with challenges, the word isn't unfamiliar. When you're dealing with challenges that you can't put your finger on and you're not certain at which decision you go, who do you lean on? What do you read? What do you listen to? Who do you call?
Yeah. So I have a really good network of my own of other women leaders that I've formed over the years. So I heavily depend on them. I heavily depend on the founders of our business, who have done an amazing job building the company and just have great intuition around these, and utilize my peers, people who work for me, people I work for, and also our board. So a really nice network. And I try to touch across all those different networks so that I can get a unique perspective.
Can you tell me a little bit about your work week? Let's jump forward 2 weeks. So you leave HIMSS, you go home with a bunch of cards, you pass them off to your team, you delegate, hey, we got to do this. They were right on this, we're going to work on product in this. Tell me what your normal work week looks like when you're finished with that, in terms of meeting, how much you're looking at product, how much you're looking at sales, how much you're looking at marketing.
Wow. My weeks are a little crazy. So that's one thing I will say. So I try to equally split among all those the functional areas of the business. I try to equally split my time. But where I'm really focused, like I'll give you my top 3 priorities, right? It's number 1, making sure that our care collaboration platform hits the vision that we want to hit, which is to be the most comprehensive care collaboration network in the United States, and use that for the betterment of healthcare for vulnerable populations, which we haven't talked much about, but that's what we're really focused on, is healthcare for those that need it most, and how do we make that better? So that's my number 1 priority. So I spend a lot of time, and increasingly so, with that business unit. And then I'm really focused also on, I spend quite a bit of time on sort of our horizontal management structure. So how do we as a leadership team think like a CEO together, right? So that even though we all have functional ownership, really at our layer, we need to be thinking across the business. And that's a big goal of mine in the next 18 months, is to really get us really operating in that way. And then my third objective is always be focused on our LTPAC customers. and making sure that as we're making choices in our healthcare ecosystem and with the cross continuum, we're really still focused on their needs. And the reason why that's really important to me is that this is a very critical, I mean, you know this because you do this podcast, such a critical part of our healthcare ecosystem, yet often is the part that's treated the worst and ignored the most. And so we're very, very passionate about working with the LTPAC sector to be able to serve seniors and other vulnerable populations.
I want to pause on that vulnerable population. How did that come about into part of your mission and your goals? And can you give me an idea of what those initiatives look like?
Yeah, sure. So we've been focused on seniors since the beginning, right? So that's always been part of our mission. And then when we decided that we wanted to move into the whole thing I was talking about moving cross continuum to be able to provide more value to that population and be able to help enable better healthcare for them, we went out and started meeting with our partners. Collective Medical was one of them, about their missions and how we might be able to partner more closely to be able to serve seniors. And then in talking with them, what we realized was, wow, we don't have to just do this for seniors. Like, we can do this for other populations as well. And they were already serving Medicaid populations. They were focused on substance use disorder. They were focused on maternal health. They already had these use cases in place. And we just got so excited about bringing this together and being able to do this for really multiple populations that don't always get the attention from the healthcare ecosystem that they should.
I'm interested. I'm going to transition in moving to our rapid fire questions, but in moving that way, I want to get to know you as a person. I looked at your resume on LinkedIn, and you have a diverse background. Can you tell me how long you've been in healthcare and healthcare tech, and also take me back to the introduction to PointClickCare?
Sure. I actually haven't been in healthcare tech for that long. I've only been in healthcare tech for about 3 years, but I've been in technology my entire career. So.
And what was the introduction to PointClickCare? What was your first job? And then how was the transition into becoming president?
Yeah. So my introduction was through the PointClickCare recruiting team who had reached out to me. They were looking for a chief strategy officer as the company was starting to think about how do we evolve the business, right? How do we provide more value to the populations that we serve and the providers that we serve? And it immediately, I already knew who PointClickCare was because it's a wonderful company, so I knew who they were. And but what they do resonated with me right away. And I'll share a personal story on why. My father had died about 3 years prior to that, and he had a really bad transition of care, and I witnessed it. Right, so he had been in and out of the hospital. And he was very sick, and it was like 2:00 in the morning, and he was transitioning from the hospital to inpatient rehab. And we were tired. Like, my mother was tired. I was tired. It's a lot of work to be a caregiver. And we decided this time not to go with him. Right. So we went home, said we'd see him in the morning, and they put a big stack of papers on his chest that had all of his medication in it, including his heart medication. Paper fell off, never got his medication. Went into heart palpitations, and 3 weeks later, he passed away. So when I had the discussion with PointClickCare about care transitions and how they were thinking about it, I just was like, I want to be a part of this. I want to help drive this. And that's really how I came to work at the company.
That's a cool story. Thanks for sharing that. What are the roles of the founders today in PointClickCare?
So both Mike and Dave Wessinger are the founders. They are awesome guys. Mike has moved on into the executive chairman role, where he's really focused on really partnering with other companies, whether it be through board or advisor roles, and helping to bring those insights back to us so that we can figure out, as we're scaling and maturing, what are the right choices to make. And then Dave has taken on the CEO role, which is what Mike used to have, and is serving in that capacity.
Great. Are you ready for rapid fire questions, Julieann?
I'm not sure, but let's do it.
All right, let's go. I'm gonna mix them up just to make sure you're not 100% ready.
Okay.
What is something that you will not be doing in 10 years from now?
I will not be hobbling around. I've needed foot surgery for about 5 years, and I've been delaying it, but I'm going to have it in the next decade.
It's recorded. Now we have that. We can send that to any family member who's been bullying you about that.
Yeah.
What is a lesson that took you a long time to learn?
I hate to admit this, but it's patience.
How are you doing on that today?
It's so on a day-to-day basis, but no, I'm much better, and having 4 children really helps.
Name the person who inspires you the most.
Yeah, so it's you've heard me talk about him and why that particular story was so painful, but that would be my father.
Mhm. If you had to pick one cause to devote the rest of your life to, what would it be?
It would be helping to bring an end to domestic violence, which is something I've been passionate about for 30 years.
Your house, containing everything you own, catches fire. After saving your loved ones and pets, you have time and safely make a final dash to save one item. What is it, and what would it be?
One of my childhood photo albums that has pictures of my entire extended family.
I'm glad you shared that. In the innovation area at HIMSS today, I met a gentleman who's helping people leave audio messages lined up with pictures so that when our seniors pass, we can hear their voice and have their memories.
Yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to do.
And I think that is all of my questions. Thank you so much, Julieann, for joining us. Appreciate you joining us on LTC Heroes Live at HIMSS, and I look forward to seeing you next year.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much.